If I haven't spoken to you, happy new year. Welcome back to the Hospitality Hacks Pro show. We're going to chat today, speaking of the new year, about a few business ideas I would start if I were in a position to say, hey, you know what? I need either a side hustle or even full fledged business to help support me, my lifestyle, my family. What would I do in 2024 if I were starting something new? All right. So we're gonna chat about that. If you're a fan of the show, friend of the show, you know that we have lots of conversations around hospitality. Usually, I focus a lot on food and beverage businesses because that's my background. But we're gonna branch out even a little bit more today. Even a little bit more, dig a little deeper into hospitality, other areas of hospitality. Okay, and also if you're a friend of the show, it's two groups of people that I speak to here. You know, group one is somebody who once needs help maybe executing an idea, or just getting started, is brand new to the industry. Okay, group two is the independent operator who is been in the business for a while. They're not corporate, they're doing things on their own, and maybe they need a little extra corporate strategy. Maybe you've never worked for a larger hospitality based business before, and you're looking for that little extra razzle dazzle, a little extra sauce. Right. And if you and listen, a sauce is an enhancer, right? A sauce is an enhancer. The food underneath has to be good. All right. If you're a foodie, if you enjoy food, you can't just throw some sauce on something and magically it becomes an awesome dish, right? That is something that elevates it to the next level, right? And so the foundation has to be good. The building blocks have to be good first before you can just throw some sauce on something, right? Garnish something, right? So let's dig in. Let's dig in. If today, and mind you, disclaimer, this two disclaimers. Disclaimer number one, I can't start anything new right now. Coaching myself in this moment. I have a couple ideas I'm going to throw at you. Feel free to use them. I'm not. I cannot. I have so many irons in the fire. It's kind of my MO. If I were, hey, I think any of these ideas I'm going to share with you today will work. Disclaimer number two, everything I share are my 2 cents, my thoughts, do not represent any other organization, entity, or otherwise. Okay, so let's dig in. If I were to start a hospitality business today, number one, now, I don't know how you feel about Airbnb. It's something we've talked about on the show in the past. But I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Airbnb. When I travel, I do stay in Airbnbs. Sometimes I stay in a hotel, sometimes I stay in an Airbnb. It kind of depends. Depends on where I'm going, how many people I'm traveling with, what type of experience I want to have, how long I'm staying. Right. If it's a longer stay, I tend to want to be in an Airbnb because I can cook. It feels more like home. I can relax. If it's a one night layover or on my way to an international destination, or it's just something short, um, y- you know, I'm cool with a hotel. Either way, I'm okay, right? But if you've never heard of it, which if you've never heard of Airbnb, you've probably been under a rock because it's at the place now where most people have at least heard of it, even if you've never stayed in one. All right, but it essentially is a peer-to-peer um service where you can offer either a room in your home or apartment, or your entire home or residence for someone else to rent and stay there. It could be a short-term stay, it could be a longer term stay, right? So a lot of people got into hosting in past few years. It's become a very competitive space. Okay, when it first started out, you kind of could just throw anything up there. Now it's very competitive. People have little amenities and shampoos and this and that and extra little touches um to make their place stand out, right? Now, I have done some Airbnb hosting. in the past. I'm not currently, and I also have done some co-hosting. And so if um you're looking for something quick that you can jump into this hospitality space, Airbnb is fairly simple to start. Snap some pictures of the area, put up some descriptions. If you have an open space, it could be a room or again the whole place. Some people buy and or rent homes specifically for Airbnb. That's how lucrative it can be. Um, but you can be up and running on Airbnb within 24 hours or less. Okay. Now, again, it has become a very competitive space. There's things you need to pay attention to: pricing in the area, what is a hotel going for, what are other Airbnbs going for in your specific market, is there something going on? You can look at the flux of what's happening in your city or town, right? But again, you could snap some pictures, put up a description, link a bank account, and be up and running on Airbnb in 24 hours or less. Now, if you don't want to be the person to talk to guests, send messages, and make sure they're okay, make sure they know how to get in and do all that stuff, you either want to get somebody who can do that for you, which would be a co-host, or you may want to think about a different business model, because it is very interactive as far as making sure people have arrived, they're okay, they have everything they need. That's the hospitality side of it. All right, so when we talk about hospitality, there you go, making sure people feel good, they have what they need, everything is in proper working order, the place is clean and ready to go, right? Those types of things. So that's business number one. Like, hey, now, you may say, listen, none of that sounds good. The hosting too much, maybe even co-hosting is not for you. There's a lot of businesses connected to Airbnb that could be lucrative. So you could think about starting a cleaning company, right? Specifically for Airbnbs. Every time a guest comes and goes, the place needs to be turned. It needs to be cleaned. It needs to be reset for the next guest. Now, some hosts do them themselves. They do this themselves. If they only have, maybe 1 to 3 properties, small number of properties, they're okay getting their hands dirty. I used to clean at the beginning when I was doing the business. And then I got to a certain point where I was just like, it didn't make sense for me to be in there cleaning when there were other things I had to do. I still had a full-time job, right? This was a side hustle for me. So, and it was a lot to try to leave work, go clean, send messages, it was too much. So I started hiring cleaners. So if you like to clean, right? Some people, they love it. Like, I particularly have an affinity to the smell of bleach and pine sol. I love it. It does something for me. um, so anytime even when I'm washing dishes, I'm gonna hit a little a little dabble um of some bleach or pine sol in the water. That's just how I roll. Okay. Makes me feel like there's an extra layer of sanitation happening. I love it. All right. So if you like to clean, right, or even if you don't like to clean, but you're good at managing people, find some cleaners in your area, market yourself as a short-term rental cleaner. There's also third-party websites where you can post, right, your business, and boom, there's another little hospitality business right there, connected to short-term rental. So and so for those who are not familiar with the space, when I say short-term rental, Airbnb is probably the biggest, but there are other companies that do the same thing. Okay, so VRBO or Verbo, um booking.com, Furnish Finder, right? There's other companies that do something, the exact same thing or something similar. And there are people out here who are hosting who also have full-time jobs, or this is a side business or side hustle for them. They don't want to be in there cleaning, or they don't have the time to be in there cleaning, or their businesses has just grown to the point where they need extra help. You can market to those people. All right. and you can be in there like swimwear. All right. Another business. So I got to sneak a little food in here. I said we're gonna talk in general about hospitality, but food and beverage is I've been in and around the space, over 20 years if y'all know me. So I got to sneak something in there about food and beverage. So hot dog stand, y'all. If and when you think hot dog, you're probably like, that's not exciting, that's not sexy, right? But I'm also thinking about, all right, if you're starting out, generally, usually you don't have a lot of money. Usually. Now, if you've been saving and you have, several $1,000s and you want to do some elaborate cuisine, go for it. Go for it. You have the money for a commissary kitchen if that is required in your area. Maybe you already have a mobile food trailer or truck, or or a brick and mortar, or have the ability to go lease a brick and mortar. You got a menu concept already, or somebody on your team, or that you've aligned yourself with, that is good at building menus. Cool, go for it. But remember, I said I have two groups of people I usually talk to. It's the independent operator who is already up and running on a mom and pop kind of independent side, or somebody who's trying to just get started. And usually when you're trying to just get started, funds might be tight. Maybe you only have 5,000, 3,000, $1,000, right? And you want to start something that doesn't take a lot of capital, but that's still in the food and beverage space, and you can see a vision for yourself. You can see how you could capitalize off this space. Don't skip over the idea of starting simple, right? So hot dog cart, a cart, trailer, a tent with a fold out table, even, right? You can get started for those small amounts that I just said, 5, 3, $1,000, less than, you can get started for less than $1,000. If you go on to do a pop-up tent, go negotiate with somebody. Hey, can I use this space in front of your hardware store, outside of your club, nightclub, whatever. Negotiate your way into a space, at a local school, at a local barber shop, somewhere where there is a steady flow of people. That's the key. Okay. Somewhere where there is a steady flow of people and you can be visible. Take your cart, your tent, right? Your trailer, set up, right? Get to know people, smile, right? Maybe have a sign, of dry erase board, whatever you can get your hands on. Whatever you can get. It's not one way to do this, guys. So whatever you can get your hands on, so people know what you're offering. A hot dog costume, have your little cousin dress up and go hand out flyers, whatever you got to do, right? um but hot dogs are inexpensive, they're tasty. They're not going to put you on the radar of your local health department because it is a pre-cooked food. You're basically heating and serving, so there's not a lot of risk there as far as safety and health is concerned. And you can get in and you can start there, right? And if you have a grander vision for something else, cool, but you got to start somewhere, right? And so that would be, if I was starting something, I needed a quick, inexpensive way to get started with an idea today. You could do that. You could go to your local Sam's Club, buy a case of dogs, right? Or Costco, wherever whatever is close to you. Buy some buns, buy some dogs, get some chips, or make some potato salad, something like that on the side. Now, once you start doing stuff like that, now you start dealing with mayonnaise and stuff. Okay, you're in a different. Again, I said help. You're not on the health department's radar with hot dogs. They'll let you go quickly, get a health permit if it's a non-hazardous food, maybe a baked bean, something like that, right? You can get started quickly. Start. I know at the beginning of the year, um, you know, you got use that momentum of your New Year's resolution and go. Just go. Do something. Do something. All right, so that's three things you could do. We've mentioned a few things: Airbnb host, co-host, cleaner, hot dog stand. You could start with a cart, a tent, whatever. Pop up somewhere. Get started. Another thing you could do, again, inexpensive and quickly, vlogging or blogging, right? You see these people on your social media feed, I'm sure, doing food reviews, giving their feedback on restaurants or food items and stuff, or podcasting. Hello, hey, how y'all doing? Right? Um, Even if you don't want to be on camera, you could write articles, right, and do a voiceover on the article and just have some B-roll without your face in it. There's this one guy I like to watch on YouTube who I can't think of his name right. Oh, it's Food Wishes. And he has also a website, I believe, where he lists different recipes. But I've never been to his website, but I do watch him on YouTube, and he doesn't show his face. He does a voiceover. He shows his hands. He shows the food cooking. He'll walk you through a recipe, how to cook something, how to prepare something. He's kind of funny. He throws some dad jokes in, and boom, that's his show. He has thousands of views. All right, I don't know how his website's doing, but here's the thing, guys, is like there's always a way to approach this, right? There's money in this. Now, part of the reason I podcast is for is the word I'm reaching for posterity? I think it is. Let me y'all know let me Google this. Posterity definition. No. No, that's prosperity. That's not what I'm looking for. All right. I spelt it wrong. Oh, or is it spell check? Spell check will get you. Like, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. Okay, anyway, but I'll come back to that. That's gonna bug me. But part of the reason that I podcast is it's a way to I'm big on legacy. Right, legacy is important to me. I don't have any natural born children. I have children in my life that are important to me and that I try to be an influence on. I'm also a high school teacher, so so there's other ways I think to leave legacy. But when you're gone, like what I would give, I lost my dad recently, right? What I would give to have 100 videos of him on YouTube talking about his thoughts and what he's feeling at different times of the year, different seasons, and what's going on in the world, and what I would give for that, right? And so it's kind of in essence like a diary almost, like and so I do intend to at some point make money from the podcast. I have it as I've sold a few books. Thank you for people who have bought. If you're on the video experience, you see me pointing at Above Average Service. And if you're on the audio experience, you can find it on Amazon. Just look for Above Average Service and type my name, Tasha Jackson. It's a book I co-wrote with my sister. But I've sold a few books and stuff like that, but I haven't made like any like what I would consider serious money from podcasting. But the possibility is there, right? You can sell sponsorship spots on your podcast, um, products, like I just said, the book, right? You can sell other different types of products and services, courses. Um, you can charge people to come on if that's what you want to do, right? Your viewership has to be there. Like, you have to have enough reach for it to make sense for somebody to invest in that way, right? But there's lots of different ways. You can also not only just straight up like commercial sponsorships, so people buy space on your show, but also people will send you product. People will send you like, hey, wear this shirt, talk about these glasses. You wear glasses, all right? Or you drink tea on your show every day. We're a tea company, we'd love to sponsor you, give you free tea for a year, right? So there's money there. There's money in social media as well. Same kind of setup, same thought process, right? Ad space, sponsorships, charging people to come on, selling products and services. So that you have we most of us have one of these, right? Holding up a cell phone, right? Most of us have a cell phone, a cellular device of some sort. You're probably watching or listening to this on your cellular device. It doesn't take much to simply grab I was seeing if I had my tripod close by. Oh, it's over there on the floor. Grab you a little tripod, put your phone on the tripod, turn it around, turn on the camera, and start talking. Start talking. Nobody might listen at first. It's okay. Keep talking. eventually, eventually, you'll get 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 100 people listen. You know what I mean? So plus, right? And so, uh, a lot of times we create excuses. I would do this, but oh, I wish I had a way to, but however, oh, I don't want to show my face. I just told you a way you cannot show your face. I just gave you an example of a gentleman who never shows his face. He does a voiceover and shows the food, thousands of views, right? So just 2024, just time out with the excuses. Time out with the excuses. You're lying to yourself when you say that there's a reason why you haven't started. What are you doing right now? So one of my personal goals, right, is I consume a lot of content. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I used to be a voracious reader, right? Now the space I'm in now, I listen to audiobooks more than I actually pick up a book. I still will pick up a book because it's just something about like holding it, right, and flipping the pages. But I scroll Instagram just like y'all. I'm not really into TikTok, but I consume a lot of content. YouTube, I love. I'm on YouTube a lot, looking at recipes, listening to people talk about all different topics, things like that, right? I don't want to consume more content than I create this year in 2024. So I'm putting out that as one of my goals to y'all, right? To make it real, right? I want to create just as much content as I consume, if not more. That's one of my personal goals. You can borrow that if you need to. We're so busy scrolling and tapping and paying attention to what other people are doing that we're not on our grind. We're not doing what we're supposed to do. I'll talk about me. I won't put you in it. I'll talk about me. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do because I'm paying attention to what other people are doing. And it's nothing wrong with consumption, right? Sometimes that's where ideas come from. You listen to somebody talk, it sparks a thought, and you could take it to the next level. Like, oh, that is a good idea, or oh, that thought was interesting. Let me expound on that. Let me throw my 2 cents on that. So consumption, you have to be able to have a spark from somewhere, right? However, we have to create, y'all. We have to create. All right, whether that's the written word, the spoken word, videos. I was thinking about something I heard Grant Cardone say. If you're not familiar with Grant Cardone, he's a cool cat. You should look him up. But one of the things he says is, if they don't know you, they can't flow you. If they don't know you, they can't flow you. If nobody knows who you are, how are they going to contribute to your cause? How are they going to pay you? Whatever it is they're paying you for, whatever product or service it is. If I am not aware that you exist, how can I reach out to you? I can't. If I don't know about your cleaning business, Airbnb business, um, your cookbook, your like how can I purchase if I don't know it's there? If they don't know you, they can't float you, right? So you got to create. You got to create. You got to create. All right. Um all right, so we talked about Airbnb, we talked about hot dog stand, we talked about vlogging or blogging. And pardon me, I'm getting over a little piece of a cold, so if I sound strained or if I cough, just hang with me, y'all. Um Another thing is cooking lessons. Cooking lessons. I'm tempted to try this one, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I'm tempted to try. I just said I just said 15 minutes ago I'm not gonna start anything new, right? But this one's tempting because people that I come across are always like, even if they taste something that I make, they're like, "Oh, let me get this recipe. This tastes so good." Da 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 da. Or you need to do videos showing people how to cook. That's not my jam. Shout out to all the chefs that do it. I hats off. It's just not what I do. It's not my first love. It's like doing cooking videos, but people want to know. That's why they're so popular, these cooking videos, because First of all, people, you eat with your eyes, right? You see something beautifully plated or created, it looks good, you got cheese pull, whatever's going on, right? And you're like, ooh, that looks good. Like, even if you can't taste it, you're like, oh yeah. That's why videos and pictures of food are so popular, right? And so people have that desire, like, "Ooh, I wish I could make that. What if I could? Or can you show me how? Or share the recipe?" If you go to a popular viral cooking video and the recipe is not posted, I guarantee you there's people in the comments like, where can I find the recipe? Please share, please share. They might never make it. Like, even if the recipe is posted, they might screenshot it, save it, whatever the case, engage with the content and never try it. But a lot of people stop themselves because of fear. Like, oh, even if it's unvoiced, like unrealized, a subconscious fear, like, what if I try it and it doesn't turn out good? Or I don't know how to cook. Right. And it always trips me up. Like, it always blows my mind when people say, I don't know how to cook. You don't know how to cook? Can you follow directions? Step one, grab a pot. Step two, put in 2 cups of water. Step three, put it on the stove. Step four, right? So it's like, can you follow? Now, everybody can't follow directions, but if you can follow directions, you can cook. Now, your level of proficiency that can be worked on. Maybe you feel like you can't cook well, but just to say that I can't cook, that's crazy to me. Yes, you can. Now let's work on, again, that level of proficiency of being able to cook well, being able to understand how flavors come together, being able to understand when something's done, using all of your senses. Like, okay, if the recipe says bake something on 350 for 20 minutes, right, until golden brown, are you looking to see if it's golden brown? Are you smelling to know when that product is done? Do you know what it smells like when a cookie is baked and finished? I baked I made some cookies yesterday and I baked these cookies so many times. I don't need a timer, right? And that's something simple, right? But this could apply to many different things. I can look at it and I can smell, right? I can smell a little less accurately getting over this cold, but I can smell when they're done, right? I don't even have to look. I can walk into the kitchen and take a deep breath and be like, ooh, they're done. Ooh, they're a minute out, right? And that comes just from repetition, doing the same thing over and over. Anyway, I got sidetracked. Y'all know, listen. Point back to the point. Point is cooking lessons. People sometimes just need that extra encouragement. Like, you can do this. You can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. Let me show you how. Right. And then take them step by step. Step one, like I just said, grab a pot. Step two, put the water. Step three, like, the steps, if you break them down, are simple. Right. If you look at the whole thing, it can be overwhelming. And so holding somebody's hand and saying, hey, let me show you how to make this item. I'll come to your house and prep with, I'll shop, I'll prep with you, right? Bring some friends over. We can do this in a small group, 6 to 8 people. Keep it manageable for yourself. But yo, I think it's a business there. I just really think it's a business there. Because number one, anytime you have a gathering of friends around food, come on, that's a good time, right? Number two, again, people need that encouragement. Just like, oh, I can do this, that coaching, right? And they'll pay for it. They'll pay for it. If you're looking for a side hustle, you know how to cook, and you don't have to be a professional chef for this, guys. All right. You just have to have a little bit more knowledge than the person that you're teaching. You don't have to have gone to France to study for 12 years or owned a restaurant or even been to culinary school, to be honest. There's a lot of self-taught chefs that will blow some folks out of the water that have been to culinary school. Going to culinary school means you have the time and the money and the desire to hopefully focus on this craft for a certain amount of time. But it doesn't really mean much more than that. I just, sorry if I'm offending anybody. There's some folks who've never touched a culinary school, who, some of them in my family, so I know some of them are my friends and associates, and listen, can throw down. right? And that might be you. That might be you. Maybe you are self-taught, you watch videos, you read books, or you get in the kitchen, trial and error, hands on, and do that repetition, hit those reps over and over and over, right? If you have the patience to teach, if you have the patience to slow something down and break it down step by step, you might want to think about doing some either one-on-one or small group cooking lessons, or even coupling that idea with the vlogging idea, right? Of and do it online. You can scale it bigger online. However, I think it's just an untapped niche of that hands-on. I think we're so focused on technology and so focused on online. uh, it's just something different if I'm in the kitchen with you and I say, stop, smell that. Do you smell that? That's how you know it's done, right? You can't replicate that online. Even if you're cooking together, like I'm cooking online at the same time you're cooking, like it's just something about like being like, hey, touch this, poke this. You feel that? You feel that? That's how you know the dough is done, right? It's just something that you really can't quite exactly replicate on. Not saying online is bad. Like hey, listen, I told y'all I love YouTube videos. I watch them a lot. When I want to prepare something I've never prepared before or something like that, I will quickly go to a YouTube video. But if I had somebody I could call and be like, hey, yo, can you show me how to make blah blah blah? Come over, right? I'll pay you $50. I would do it. So just an idea. We're spitballing. All right, just an idea. All right, so we talked about Airbnb, hot dog stand, online vlogging, blogging, cooking lessons. All right, people are willing to pay for experiences. Okay, I'm going to the next one, but people are willing to pay for an experience. Trust me. Trust me. So if you are doing coming to somebody's home, even though like if you've ever done like a paint and sip, or some or like what's another, that's an experience. Could you do that on your own? Sure, right? But it's an experience to be in that atmosphere, music's going, the instructor's telling you what to do, giving you guidance, look in, say, oh yeah, try this. It's an experience. People pay. People pay. All right, listen. All right, next. My last one. If have you ever heard of Turo? If you've never heard of Turo, Turo is like basically short-term rental for cars, right? So like the Airbnb for cars. I've done a lot of side hustles in my day. I did Turo for a spell, couple years probably. Um and one of the problems or challenges that I ran into was that um anytime I have a side hustle or or a business, s- eh, some people don't like that term side hustle, but really is, I mean, that's what it is. I always have a kind of, for the most part, I've always had a regular full-time job, except for a couple, like a year stint where um, I was getting into catering real heavy and I quit my job. That's another story that I have told on another podcast. But um, side hustle usually means you don't have full-time energy to devote to it. Does that make sense? So I'm not sitting around. When I was doing Turo, I wasn't, again, it's a peer-to-peer car sharing service. So somebody goes on the app, they're like, I need a car for the weekend. I don't want to go to Hertz or Enterprise or whatever, whoever, right? I want to pick the exact car that I want with the exact features, and I can see exactly, because when you go to those places, generally they rent you a type of car, like mid-size SUV. It could be anything. You don't know what you're gonna get. But with the advantage with Turo or other entities like this, the peer-to-peer car sharing, you get the exact car, that exact car, the color, everything, perfectly exactly what you select, right? Um, so the challenge I ran into when I was doing that was that similar to Airbnb, like the car has to be flipped in between, right? In between rentals, you gotta wash it, vacuum it, clean it out, check it, make sure nothing crazy happened, right? There's no new scratches, stuff like that, right? That's somewhat time consuming. And again, if this is a side hustle for somebody, you don't have that full-time energy. Not only do you have to do all that, you have to gas it back up potentially, drive it, get to the car and drive it to the next destination or back to your house or wherever you keep it, right? Takes time. So this business idea is well first of all, if you have an extra vehicle, do Turo, right? Um you could also do private rentals without Turo. There's pros and cons to that, right? But the advantage of using an established platform is it's basically a marketplace. They do the advertising for you. So you don't necessarily have to put a lot of time, money, and energy into advertising. The people will already be present there. If you do it privately on your own, you have to figure out how do you spread the word. Maybe Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, buy ads, right? On Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Promote it on your social media, right? It's just a lot more energy, but you keep a lot more of the money because, of course, Turo and Airbnb and all these third party platforms, of course, they want their cut. Of course, they have to get paid. So, of course, they take a percentage of your profit. All right. So don't be shocked. It's the cost of doing business, right? Nothing in life is free. All right. Moving on. But point being that so you can do Turo. That's one business idea. Or car sharing, even if it's privately. Another thing is to be the support person. This is the money shot right here. Be the support person for the people who are doing this business. Here's what I mean. You might not have a vehicle to put on Turo, but essentially like a co-host for Turo, right? So say, hey, I know you have 3 cars on the platform. You're busy. You have other stuff going on. Let me be the person to take it to the car, take the car to the car wash, take the pictures of the car before the next booking, drive it to the destination that it needs to go to, or deliver it to the airport or whatever, right? And be that person to help fill the gap for potentially this person who might have other things going on, who doesn't have the time or the desire to do all those little things, right? You could build a business around that. When I was doing Turo, I was searched for that. Like, why isn't anybody doing this? Like, I right? And so they say the best businesses are built by answering a problem. There's an existing problem and you figure out the answer to it, boom, you got a business, right? But that was a problem for me. It's like, I have other stuff, work and other stuff happening. I have to not only like make sure the car is washed and vacuumed, then I take pictures and upload them to the platform, but get it to the place. I'd had a lot of airport bookings, people coming from out of town, but get it to the airport. Not only is it just get the car to the airport, now I have to like Uber or have somebody pick me up and take me back to wherever it is I need to go. That's time consuming. It's not hard. It's not difficult. It's just time consuming. So somebody in my area had a business that said, "Hey, let me do your pickup drop offs. Let me take pictures. Let me make sure the car is washed and gassed up. Let me check it in and out for the next guest." Easy. You would have had me. I would have been a customer. Please, yes, thank you. Do that. I don't have the time. Or I have the time, but it's stretching me so thin that I'm like, is it worth the time? Right. Yeah. So those are some I just gave what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's it. That might have been about 10. That might have been about 10 ideas right there, guys. And this episode, I went a little deeper, go a little bit longer than we normally go, just a little bit, but hopefully